Okay, hey everybody, it's Nolen with Roofers Paradise. Today we have Tyler with Roof Rejuv, who also is in the roofing business. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be interesting today, and I want to discuss a couple of things before Tyler goes into it. Just what we're going to cover is this Roof Rejuv product, which is a shingle replenishment product. I want to discuss like a roofer's position or thought process towards a coating or something like this, especially as this is pretty really new concept for a shingle roof. I want to talk about that mentality of the original coatings for commercial roofs, how Tyler got into roofing business and started this company, and why this product works, why he says it works, and what it what it does, how it does it. And I want to hear some success stories. We're going to talk about that, of how people not only added net profit, but helped people that really couldn't afford to get a roof put on, and it helped them in the interim process. But if you don't mind, Tyler, tell me like a little bit about, tell us about, how you got in the roof business. So.
Sure. So my father-in-law started a general construction company back in 1979, and right now my wife runs that organization, and it's a multi-location GC in Pennsylvania that has all trades. So restoration, fire and water mitigation, roofing, bathroom, kitchen. We do a lot of different services.
Right.
And over the last few years, my wife has become very conscious of construction waste and what we're putting back into landfills. And mainly because we had kids, and that changes, having kids changes mentality. And we're looking at what we were doing, and we wanted to make sure that we were being resourceful and making sure that we had just an understanding of what we were putting back into landfills. And hence that is how Roof Rejuv was actually born, was through her looking for ways to reduce construction waste.
Right. So you guys were in it, you married into roofing basically. And when we talk about, I've talked to a lot of roofers over the years, I mean, a ton, and I'm not a roofer, but I've walked roofs, set up, I've done nothing but talk roofing for over a decade now. And I know that back in the 70s, there was, the starting of coatings, and it had a bad taste. I'm talking about commercial roof coatings, silicone, acrylic, polyurea coatings, and those had a bad taste until like really just like 7-8 years ago. They started getting used pretty aggressively, and now people like them if it's a proper roof system, proper UV protection, proper material. It seems to be a good product for people. And a lot of roof systems have problems eventually and don't work as well as they thought, like TPOs and things like that. They work, but they failed before they were supposed to. But there seems to be a perception now that a roof coating can be a great thing on a commercial roof. Now, from my perception of the shingle roof restoration, or what you're calling shingle roof replenishment, there's a hard line. And I want to just say that a lot of guys, it's such a new product, they're not sure about it. And for most roofers, really for all roofers that I know, if you're going to be successful, you have to do a quality job. And if you don't do a quality job, you don't sustain yourself in business. So a mentality that I find that most roofers have, which is correct, and it should be this way, they're very hardcore and serious about their roof system and the material that they put on. So if it's a certainty person, they're hardcore with that, and they preach that product because they believe in it. So for me, I know a lot of people are going to be wondering about the integrity of the product and if it works, so that they can in turn have good integrity and business ethics. And when they're putting on a product, I want to say one other thing before I ask you to respond to it. But I think personally, from a business person's perspective, I'm always trying stuff. I have to try stuff, have to do new things. So when a product comes out, if I had a roofing business that was doing shingle roofs, I believe I'd be trying this product no matter what, And even if I just tried it on some friend's house or something like that. My father right now has a roof from the 80s, and it was a steep slope, fairly large roof on a home. It's in horrible condition. You can see all the shingles cracked in the tar, everything's showing through. I know it's leaking up in his attic, and he doesn't have the money. He absolutely doesn't have the money to do it. And I talked to someone about this. I told you right before we started just the other day, and they're like, "Oh, I don't like the idea of that." Well, somebody may not like the idea of it, but my dad's roof is going to leak, and he spent like $45,000 of insurance money. Here in Texas, they get it. And so I see applications for this in a lot of places. A lot of places too don't have storms like Texas, and insurance ain't going to replace their roofs anyway. Right. So some places you don't get insurance. Other places, the people spent their insurance money. And if they don't have any other place to turn, isn't it ethical to offer them a solution that might rejuvenate their roof for a little bit? So if you don't mind kind of talking about that for a minute.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I totally understand. I mean, I think with anything new technologies, new products, there's always apprehension. Right. And rightfully so, because I think that there's scenarios where, companies will release a product that maybe doesn't have the proper validation or third-party testing. And in our case, that was, a very significant portion of what we did early on with this product. So the history of the product is interesting because I gave you the history of our, GC business. Right. The history of the product is a little different. So, our co-founder that actually developed the chemistry behind the product has been using this chemical matrix in bio-based dust suppressant and asphalt replenishment for roadways. So this really is not, yes, absolutely. So this chemical matrix has been utilized for many years. Okay. And very similar to an asphalt road, an asphalt shingle has a lot of the same matrix, a lot of the same makeup. And so the formula itself has been tested for years, probably going on over a decade. And, in our case, we started testing this formula on asphalt shingles, over 4 years ago. So we did a lot of our own internal testing and validation before we even decided this is a legitimate service that can be offered and a legitimate product that can be offered to the consumer. And, my background is in biotechnology, investing in tech. That's where I came from. So I had a good understanding of products and services, especially in this space, in this industry. And, whenever we officially launched the product to the consumer, we had taken the actual solution and formula through one of the largest third-party laboratories in the world. So we had the formula tested and approved and studied and researched for months in an environment that was basically acclimating to climate changes, et cetera, stretching, bending, pulling, testing. That was part of the process for releasing this material, because I would never want to put something out into the public that would not be what we said it is.
And you guys use it, you all use it all the time, right? So how many roofs have you personally used it on, and how many roofs has it gone on so far? I'm curious.
Sure. So I'll give you an example. So we are the product manufacturer, which makes us unique in this space, because not only do we manufacture the product in central Pennsylvania, we also apply the product. So we're kind of a hybrid. When we talk to a dealer or a potential applicator, we always tell them, listen, what makes us unique isn't just the ingredients and the formula itself. We can get into that and why it's unique, but what also makes us unique is we can tell you how to sell this. We can tell you what the pain points are, because we're out selling it every day of the week in our own footprint, in our own geography in central PA. And so just this week, we're doing 3 to 4 roofs a day in our footprint
with this product.
With this product, that's correct. Okay.
Nolen Walker here for Roofers Paradise. So I'm looking for podcast guests for Roofers Paradise, and I'd like to hear from you. If you're a roofer or somebody in the industry that's looking to talk about their product, I'd like to hear from you. if you're a roofer and you want to tell your story, I'd love to speak with you. Also, we will blog and put a link back to your website, give you a little juice. It'll help you out. And it'd be great for you to get on here and tell your story and just to have it recorded. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Look us up on roofersparadise.show, email us, and we'll call you back.
So I've got a lot of questions here. One thing, in my opinion, this is somebody gets comfortable with this product and it works. And I think you told me you're offering 5-year warranty on the product application, assuming it's applied properly, I presume, and all that, right? So
Correct.
If somebody's doing roof repair, so some guys love roof repair because they can get in there and muscle their way into an insurance deal, or just to start a client relationship and eventually get the roof. Other guys hate roof repair. They're busy. They're in a large market. They don't want to touch them. I love the idea of this. Let's say the average roof repair is $500. And I think you told me something like a 2,000 square foot roof might bid at a couple of grand or something. Was that right?
That's correct.
And have a 60% net profit margin on it. And I feel like that's, I'll say this, because back when roof coatings, and I've been doing marketing for roofers for like 12 years. So roof coatings really started popping around 6-7 years ago. And there was really no one offering it. And so somebody goes out, the smarter commercial roofers go out and say, hey, here's a TPO roof that's, mule hide. Here's a Firestone, and here's a coating that I have here. So they give them 3 bids. So I've got good, better, best, or just different. And here's an option for you. So when guys give an option, they sell more jobs, right? So instead of just going out and say, hey, I believe in this type of shingle, Malarkey or Certainty or whatever, and this is the only one you get, instead of giving them a tier. So when those guys gave them options, they did better. And on these roofs, and it's not quite this way on this product, but on these roofs, they'd make just as much money on the coating. They're not going to on this one, but the coating margin is 60%. I told you the other day, because this is so new, you could run a higher margin because no one else is going to bid this as an option. So if somebody has a roof that's going to cost them $20,000 to replace, but you can put this on for $2,000, you could easily bump and do $2,400. Be pretty easy. And I think you told me you had some guys that were doing that.
Right.
And yeah. So if it's me, I still think, hey, that's a great deal. I want to make a 50% margin. I do $1,200, I get $1,200. I put on a $2,400 application on a 2,000 square foot roof. And when I'm out there doing a repair, I bump this on everything. So I'm out doing, 5 repairs a day. The average repair's $400, and they say, hey, this roof is in bad shape and is probably, we know we probably have a leak here and there, or I keep having to get it repaired. Say, well, do you want us to do this while we're out here? So do you have people that do this now, that go out and repair, and went from a mentality that, I'll do repairs if I'm not busy, to like, man, I love repairs because now I got roof rejuv. So do you have anybody doing that currently?
Cool. Of course, there are quite a few dealers that have that model where all of a sudden the repair business makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I'll take it back to our general construction business and the roofing services that we offer. Leads, as are not cheap. It's expensive to generate leads, to generate good quality leads.
Right.
And so, why not, when you go out to sell a replacement, like you just said, why not have multiple tools in your tool belt? Because if your closing percentage right now is 36 or 40%, and you think you have a really good group of sales guys, you do, right? Those are good quality percentages. But why not take it to 55 or 65 by offering another service or another product that, now if you're walking away from that opportunity and you end up walking away with the job, whereas if you didn't have this tool in your tool belt, now you're walking away without the job. This is just one of those unique opportunities to increase your sales percentage, right? Because this product hits home with a lot of folks. I mean, it's back to the environmental, standpoint, the ESG perspective of what we're doing. There are people there are customers every day that have a desire to make sure that, they're doing something to, to better impact climate change. So that's a hot button. And it's something that we can really talk to and speak to, not to mention that, like you said, the 5-year warranty that we offer on the product and the service itself really, really working. And
So you offer it not only for repairs, but for a roof replacement as well. I think you had a statistic that somebody went from 36% closing to 54% closing by offering this on all the roofs.
That is correct. Yeah. And that's common. And we've had cases where we've had dealers actually exceed that. When we, like I had said in the beginning, we're a great example because we can take ourselves internally as a general contractor and roofer and test everything internally before we even go out to our dealers and say, hey, this is what works and this is what you could do, and it's a better way to sell. And so, we're looking strictly at how do we increase that closing percentage, because we know as a big GC with 50 employees that it is costly to generate leads, and we need to sell those leads. And we don't
let's
want
talk about that for a second. So just so somebody understands the mentality of this, same thing on the commercials, my closest thing, if somebody does coating, they're going to come back every 10 years and recoat that roof. Now, I don't know how often, until the substrate has to be removed, and then it's, but in this case, they might get another application out of it before a roof replacement well, and you're the guy on the job. And if they replace the roof, you're probably the guy on the job. So if you walk away from it, I can hear people talking about this, and what they're going to say is, well, I don't want to offer this because I don't want them choosing this, right? So it's like, if I offer this and they choose it, in my opinion, nobody's going to use this unless they don't have any money they weren't going to buy anyway. So if somebody had the money or the insurance, they're not this. And I know, and I agree with the green stuff too. I'm from Texas. We don't talk about it quite as much here. Quite frankly, we don't. But I think it comes down to money personally here in Texas, mainly because people spent their insurance money. I think it might be in its, for me, someone might actually want to go a green product on it. And you can talk about what's in this stuff. This is a greener product in general, not just the fact that the substrate, that the shingles aren't being removed and everything and being thrown in a landfill, but compared to other similar products, this thing is more green because it's got less chemical makeup. I think it has a base of some sort of oil.
Yeah, the base ingredient is a recycled oleate, so it's a recycled oil already. So we're working on a 100% recycled oil, and we're using that recycled bio-based oil. It's not oil as in what you'd run in an engine, but recycled bio-based oil as the main ingredient. So it's twice used, and then we're adding our additives, and so it really makes it green. And it also has allowed us to really control our supply chain, especially in a time where shingle prices are increasing.
You're using material, discarded oil, repurposing something that would have been
would have just been completely disposed of. And so that has enabled us to control our supply chain, control our pricing, and everything that goes along with that. So it's been really positive for our dealers. The one thing that I'd really like to touch on, and you had just said it previously, was when you look at the business model itself, a roof replacement can take multiple hours, if not.
Okay, let's talk about the application, what you use to apply, and how you do it and all that. Yeah, it's a good one. I do want to go over that.
And so for a roofer saying, I don't know if I really want to do this, or I don't know if this makes sense to my business model, right? I want to replace because that's larger revenue, that's bigger numbers, it's a better net margin for me.
Right.
Well, the reality is that it takes 2 people to apply this product. We recommend a specific pump sprayer that can be purchased.
How much is that pump sprayer?
It depends, right? So they're anywhere between $2,500 and $3,500 for the sprayer unit.
Let me say something here. A lot of people, when they hear sprayers and stuff, this isn't like foam or something else. You're not going to destroy the equipment if you don't clean it. This is the material going through this is not going to cause a situation to where when your guys are sloppy with the sprayer. I don't know it as well as you do, but I know this is a foam. It'll kill your machine, but I'm assuming this just almost doesn't have to be cleaned.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
The only thing is the hose reel, right? So after a year or two of usage, the hose reel itself, maybe you replace the reel, but you're talking a $65 to $70 fix, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to go over that this is not a complicated spray rig that is going to die when your lazy installation crew did a good job on it, but didn't want to clean it,
Correct.
So, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Go ahead. So how do they do it? How does it apply?
Right. So the application itself, the two-man crew arrives. If there's a roof repair that needs to be done first, obviously you go and hit the roof repair, whether that's sealing or cement, whatever, replacing a square, whatever it may be, and then the application comes into play. And so you want to make sure that that you have a ground guy for safety and precautionary methods, and then the sprayer on the roof itself, it can take anywhere between 12 minutes to 25 minutes, depending upon the size of the roof, the slopes, etc. But the reality is that the actual process, right, of the application, if you're efficient, which most roofers are, if you're efficient, you can do 3 to 4 of these a day with a two-man crew. And so when you actually look at the ability to create a better net margin for your overall business, the efficiency of this application is, and the time it takes is exponentially better than that of replacement, because there's a lot that goes into replacement.
I mean, a two-man crew can make almost as much money or similar money as a one house shingle job in the same time frame. Is that a good statement to make?
That's very accurate. Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about temperature and application, like I'm used to on liquid applied coatings. What temperature do you need it to be to spray?
Yeah, so really, I mean, the best temperature for the chemical, for the actual chemical itself, the formula, is above 40 degrees. I mean, it doesn't matter how hot. I mean, it could be 100 degrees outside, and this is perfect to spray, because really you're opening up the asphalt and the shingle itself, and it's penetrating into the asphalt. So a really warm climate, a warm weather is perfect. Anything above 40 degrees works. The chemical the bio-based formula will crack on the shingle. It'll penetrate the tar seal and replenish those maltines in the shingle with no problem. But below 40 degrees, it's one of those situations where, it just isn't going to be as impactful. So what we tell anybody that's training to be an applicator, it's, the best case scenario is to do this in above 40 degree weather, and on days where you're going to get an hour or 2 hours of break in between rain, because the last thing that you want is to have a rainstorm 20 minutes.
That was my next question. How much time before rain do you need?
You need about an hour.
That's it. Just about an hour. Okay.
Yep.
Are there any local laws that restrict spray on a roof or catchment type stuff? I know some, what I'm talking about, like if you like roof wash in like California, you got to catch the runoff. Do you have anything like that with this yet? Is there anything in place?
Yeah, so we currently do not have any dealers in California, as an example, because there are rules and regulations that go along with spray treatments. Now, do we think that, this formula itself has been used across all 50 states for asphalt shingle or for asphalt replenishment, as far as the actual road pavements?
It's on the roads and running off the road.
Exactly. So I think it's one of those situations.
But California doesn't care about that kind of stuff. So, they're going to, so, but I don't deal with a lot of roofers in California either. It's so regulated. It feels like union or something almost there.
It's challenging. What we tell dealers is, it's if you're calling us and you're looking for an opportunity to work with us, really understand your marketplace, and we'll work with you on understanding those rules. But like you said, I mean, every area has a different set of standards.
You don't have that in Pennsylvania, then? You
no.
Can spray. Yeah.
No, so we're USDA biopreferred. So our product is labeled by the USDA. It's 90% biopreferred. It's a voluntary program that we've went through, and just to ensure that what we are putting out in the environment is indeed a bio-based product, and non harmful to to the well-being of people, plants, etc. So
let's talk about that. Talk to me before we get off the application process. Talk to me about overspray and plants and people and all that. So do you have to worry about wind and spray and all that kind of stuff when you do this?
So yeah, I mean, so if you're going to try to put this onto an asphalt shingle roof in 50-mile-an-hour winds, it's probably going to be a little bit of an issue unless you can get very close to the actual shingle itself. So the reality is that overspray hasn't greatly impacted us at all, because really our person on the ground, right, that's working in tandem with the actual applicator on the roof is making sure that if there's vegetation that's really close to the roof line, that we have that covered. Because the reality is that this product isn't going to kill vegetation, but it will brown it, because there is a citrus component in the actual product itself. And so that will brown the leaves, or it will brown grass. And so the reality is we want to make sure that, if we're directly spraying onto vegetation, that it is either covered or it's wet. So that way the actual product kind of rolls off, the overspray rolls off. Right. And so safety, it is very safe. It is we send out a US or an MSDS sheet with every tote. So it's very well formulated on what is in the actual product itself. And we take those standards, those environmental standards very, very, highly. We want to follow all the rules that we need to.
Nolen Walker here for Roofing Webmasters. You may not know, but I own a digital marketing agency named Roofing Webmasters. We've been doing this for 12 years. I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of roofers. We've got hundreds of satisfied clients right now, and we'd love to add you to our client mix. I tell you what, we'll help you with your design, your content, your code base, your SEO, your ranking on Google, your map ranking, all that stuff. We also have software called Data Pins that we wrap into it. We are one of the only legit agencies out there that actually help people. Everybody that we have is month to month for a monthly fee on an ongoing basis. You'll get an assigned account rep, and our team of 15 people will help you get as dominant as we can. If you've never had proper digital marketing agency support, you owe it to yourself to call us at Roofing Webmasters or email. Look us up online, roofingwebmasters.com, and give us a call when you're ready.
I know this kind of goes without saying, but we didn't really discuss what does it do. Now I will tell everybody, I think it's Roof Rejuv, REJUV.
Correct.
roofrejuv.com, and Tyler's got some videos and before and after. They even sprayed half roofs. They show gravel, and the gutters through the sprayed portion, unsprayed. But what exactly is it doing to rejuvenate the roof, and
Sure.
How does it work? Can you kind of go over that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's why we call it asphalt shingle replenishment. So real quick, I'll go back to the story of my wife. So my wife's office window is in the back of the building, and right in the back of the building is a large dumpster. And in that dumpster is a lot of asphalt shingles, right? So predominantly during the summer months, it might be all asphalt shingles. And so, when you take out an asphalt shingle out of a dumpster, what you notice is spidering, dry, brittle, cracked, loss of granular. Those are the things that happen to an asphalt shingle over time. Right. They dry, and then they ultimately end up cracking, and they ultimately end up needing replaced. So what this product does is it replenishes the maltines in the actual asphalt shingle themselves. So there's different layers of an asphalt shingle. And the product itself isn't designed to lay on top of the asphalt shingle. It's designed to penetrate the asphalt shingle. It increases pliability, flexibility. It takes that granular loss and actually stops the aging process. And so what we tell folks is when we're getting ready to spray a roof, we take a good video of what that shingle looks like before, and then we take a video of what that shingle looks like after. That shingle before we spray, it's going to be brittle, it's going to crack, and it's going to fall apart, because that's what they do when they're 15 and 20 years old.
Right.
After that treatment, we've restored that flexibility. We've restored the actual asphalt in the shingle itself, And now we're able to take a video of that actual shingle looking more like a, maybe a 4 or 5 or an 8-year-old shingle versus a 20 or 30 or a 35-year-old shingle.
Yeah, I went onto your website and I noticed that if you have like a gray roof or medium gray roof, it'll send it up a shade, so it'll get a shade darker after the application, just a little bit. And
Yes.
which, by the way, in my opinion, in most cases looked better on the roof, but it does change the color slightly.
It deepens the tone. And
Right.
so
That's a good
we
way.
won't, yeah. So if it's a red roof or it's a green roof, we're not going to change the color of the actual
Yeah,
roof.
you
But
said it, but yeah.
that formula will, as it absorbs into the actual shingle itself, it will deepen that color of the roof. And so, the reason that we sprayed a half roof as an example, now we're working on over 2 years where that half roof was sprayed. We did that intentionally to show folks that, listen, this is a real product, right? So any dealer that wants to come on board, and if they want to come up and see us and they don't want to do a virtual training, we'll take them onto the roof with all the safety precautions necessary. And we'll show them, hey, listen, that section of this roof was sprayed 2 years ago on a 17-year-old shingle. This section of the roof was not sprayed. You tell me what the difference is, right? And so what we're trying to say is, it's more or less, we want to make sure that we're educating our dealers on the actual results of the product. So that way, when they go out and they sell it, they can feel confident that they're selling something that truly does work. And it's not just something that they're pushing around, and trying to make a sale or close a deal or make a little bit of money.
Right. Well, and you guys are selling that much of it. I would say eventually this is going to be, in my opinion, nobody asked about this yet or really knows what it is from a consumer basis. This is something that, in fact, when I was talking to you before, I'm like, I can't help probably right now get a lead for something like this because nobody knows what it is. Nobody goes on to searches shingle roof, restoration or shingle replenishment is not a word that anybody knows, right? So people go and look for roof repair, shingle roof repair, emergency roof repair, roof leak repair, and then this is a product that has to be brought to them by the roofer, at least for now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that when the do-it-yourselfers are looking for products, you find there's a lot of products at Lowe's, right? Silicone based or rubber based types of products, and nothing against those products at all. I think what Roof Rejuv and our peers in this industry are doing for the bio-based roofing business, it's a real opportunity to take something that's non-environmentally harmful and use it in the same type of a process. So, I'm not dogging by any means the actual products at Lowe's or Home Depot or any of the big box stores that actually carry more of the silicone or rubber-based solutions. But those products definitely are not for someone who doesn't know how to handle them, right? They need to be applied the right way, and they are not unharmful.
I got a question. Does this hurt or affect the decking or anything underneath the shingle at all? Do you see any? Does it penetrate?
No, it does. So really, once you get to that 4th layer of the actual asphalt shingle itself, you see that's where this formula lives, right? It's just strictly in that shingle, those 4 layers. And so we have not seen anything harmful to the actual decking itself. What I can tell you is this product will not remove stains. So we do recommend, if a homeowner says, I want, my roof sprayed, and the expectation is that it's going to remove all the staining, that is not what we do. It does not kill moss and algae. So what we do recommend is that if a homeowner wants stains removed, that is cleaned prior to the roof being sprayed. And there are ways to do that using low amounts of bleach to be effective and still not be harmful to vegetation.
You clean the roof and let it dry and let them approve the way it looks before you spray the stuff. I got a question. This is maybe down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down, but if a roof ages and cracks and becomes non-pliable and lifts and begins to let water through and get damaged and has to be replaced. Because they do this on commercial roofs too. Do you guys ever think about or try adding a granular gravel product during the process of the spray?
Yeah, so we've been asked that repeatedly, and what I can tell you is we do a lot of R&D. That's one thing that I think that we do really well is we test and we trial. And what I can tell you is that adding additive granulars has not been effective.
Really?
Because
Seems logical though, right? You've got
it
the
is.
sticky stuff in there and you've got these cracks already there and you're not, you're filling them, but yeah, anyway.
It is. And what's already embedded in the asphalt itself, that's what we can adhere to and what will keep the roof from aging. We just and we've tried it. I mean, the reality is we've tried it.
Up there, how did you apply? Like broadcast or just broom sweep it on, or how do you do that? Just
So we use more of a vacuum like unit where we actually sprayed it instead of pulling it in. We actually sprayed it out, just as a test. And
then wash it, and then let it dry, wash it off, blow it off, and
and it just doesn't, since it's not already adhered to the actual shingle and it's not already part of the manufacturing process, to get it to stabilize and stick it's just not been as effective. Can we get it to work? Yeah, it's worked to the degree that we can say, oh well, there's a noticeable difference, but we're not convinced that that's necessarily the we're not.
I mean, you're assuredly going to continue to innovate this product though, as time goes on, and the roof system of it all. I know that a lot of times that products get a bad name because not only the quality of the material, but this roof system is one of the biggest things, of course, like how the product's applied. Is there a measurement for how much people can spray too light, spray too heavy? Do you have, I guess you train people on that basically, right?
We do. Yeah, I mean, we're recommending a flow meter, so you can attach a flow meter to the hose, and really, what you're trying to do is, what our goal is 1 gallon per shingle square. And so when you're going out on a job and you're looking at a 20 square roof or a 30 square roof, and you're taking enough product to do that roof and maybe 2 or 3 others,
right.
Having a flow meter is a really helpful way of gauging the amount of product usage. What I can tell you too is it's amazing the number of times in our situation as a GC and as a sprayer, we'll show up on a job, we'll spray a neighbor's roof, and then the neighbor comes out and says, "What is that? And why are you doing that?" And we explain it, we give them, a little bit of literature, and they say, "Would you be able to do mine?" So what we do is we always carry enough product to do 1 or 2 extra roofs, because the likelihood that we'll be able to sell the neighbor is highly probable.
So is this an ABC? Do you drop ship it? How do people get the product once they're a dealer?
Yeah, so we manufacture the product in central Pennsylvania in Somerset County. And so we ship directly from our facility in Somerset to any of the dealers across the country.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I like it from a standpoint of a monetary inclusion. I do like the bumper of the green. I like the bumper of the green a little better when I think about a commercial roof, because there's so much quality substrate to remove, and in a lot of cases the roof looks pretty good. It's just that the seams are beginning to fail, and then you end up with this seamless monolithic system in place, and you can even add a single ply and fabric to it. So I love that sort of stuff when I think about it, when the roof application is applied. This one more feels like just eventually I guess that TPO or whatever they sprayed over for a roof coating on a commercial roof is going to have to be removed too. This feels slightly more temporary than that. Like, have you had any? You're just now entering like a 5th year, right?
So we're entering a 5th year with us spraying. So our dealer model is really only entering the 3rd year, but we're entering.
Have you guys personally done a second application on the same shingle yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But
Okay,
we will be
do
doing
you
that
plan
this
on
coming
doing
year.
a second application instead of a roof replacement?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Nolen Walker here for DataPins, DATAPINS, that's datapins.com. It is software that was literally made for a roofer for ultimate organic domination. You can put it on every phone you have out in the field. There's also a desktop version of it. Anybody can use it. It takes 90 seconds. You take up to 6 photos of a job, write a quick caption like roof replacement with GAF HD Timberline shingles. You put in your client's cell phone and or email and tag your roof replacement page and your city page and hit pin. It automatically grabs the geo coordinates, wraps it in schema, looks like a red pin drop, but to Google it looks like a digital hand raise. Hey Google, we were here. By the way, here's several photos of the job, which by the way count as unique content, and here's what we did, a roof replacement with GAF HD Timberline shingles. Also, it posts back to the Google account itself with the caption and the photos, and it shoots an email and text back to the client saying, please review us on Google or BBB with a couple of links and choices of review sites. All this is awesome stuff. So now regularly, imagine having this done 30 times, 50 times a month, and Google sees fresh content, fresh pictures, fresh geo coordinates. Even if a client doesn't leave you a review, which 9 out of 10 probably won't, every client becomes valuable to you at this point because you're getting valuable organic signaling. A geo coordinate as a digital hand raise, this validates your map area, and with fewer reviews helps you go into the Pack 3 map rankings. It also expands the amount of times a map can show up because of the organic keywords, and the keywords help the organic underneath the map show up as well. DataPins is simply fantastic. It makes blogging look horrible. This is the type of signaling that helps people get dominant on Google. And if you've never gotten dominant on mapping and organic and reputation reviews on Google, you've got to try DataPins. Look it up, datapins.com. If you're interested, call us or email us. We'll see you later.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of recap that because I want to, it is logical to me that people can't afford to have the shingles replaced and have the best possible roof system installed. A roofer may want to do that, but it isn't poor ethics or business practices to help somebody that does not have $30,000 for a roof or $20,000 for a roof or whatever, $15,000 for a roof. So somebody has an option to help keep their roof from leaking and prolong that process for a little while. That is actually helpful to the consumer if they trust the product and the product works and the roof system application is done properly.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a smart thing to do. I don't think, I'd have to check it myself if it were going to be me, but I don't think I'm going to lose somebody that was going to put on a roof. My wife would never say, if I could afford a roof, go, oh, honey, our roof is cracking and look bad and starting to leak. Say, hey, honey, we can we can do this 5-year application and put it off. I mean, it's not the same client base, but at the same time, you don't probably know when you're bidding a roof based upon the people or the house. You might a little bit. You could be in a nice home that looks like they have plenty of money and they could be hurting badly and not have the money to replace that roof.
Mm-hmm.
And need this, and you lose it and you don't know why, because they're driving Range Rovers and the house looks fine, but they had no money and you didn't know, and you didn't offer them some other options. So you have a 36% close rate, and the 54%, in my opinion, from 36 on that success story you have, or a closing percentage, and is probably the difference is the amount of people that picked up Roof Rejuv, right? Like when you check that 36, because don't you have this on your website, roofrejuv.com?
Yeah.
Somebody went from 36% to 54% closing.
I don't know. So we may have that in one of our case studies. It might not be directly on the website itself, because our website is kind of retail and dealer. We probably should look to separate that out.
That was a case study that you sent to me by email.
Yeah.
So when somebody went from 36 to 54, well, what is that? 46? They went like 18% up. Was all 18% Roof Rejuv?
Correct.
Or so they kept. I'm just wondering, did they keep all of their shingle, but added Roof Rejuv?
That is correct.
Okay.
Their actual closing percentage on their re-roof or on their re-shingling didn't change. It was
Okay.
they walked away with a
Because that's
sale.
my fear. Like they did not lose any shingle work. And logically that makes sense to me. Nobody that can afford a roof is going to go, I don't want a roof. I'm just going to spray this stuff on it. But somebody needs it. Like my dad, there's a ton of older people. I don't know how old my dad is, 75 years old. He should have had his roof replaced right then. He was trying to do it cheap. He got money from his insurance company. He got the product, and this will make roofers mad. And it's my dad, so don't get mad at me. He's just trying. He's a CPA, so he's cheap. And I grew up with him. He wouldn't eat any food. And my dad would go out to eat as a kid, and we'd go to a restaurant. And especially when I was a kid in the 80s, the portion sizes are still too big in restaurants. But back in the 80s, y'all remember? I don't know how old you are. Remember, they used to have potatoes that were like that big. Like your baked potato would be that big, your hamburger would be like that. So the food portions were huge. And my dad knew that everybody wouldn't finish their food, so he wouldn't order a meal, and he would eat the leftovers off of our plates. And he could have afforded to order, this, but he wasn't rich. But he wouldn't order. And I remember as a kid, I'm sitting there, and he said, Nolen, remember, when you get older, that if the bill comes out at $50 for the tab, or back then it's probably like $20 or something, you don't tip based upon tip your 15%, not on the total, but on the pre-tax total, because the tax is added in and people over tip the 50 and even tell me all these money saving techniques. But anyway, so my dad, who's a miser, was ordered his shingles from Home Depot, had them dropped off in the front of his yard, called somebody, somehow got a hold of a subcontractor. The subcontractor comes by, gives him a bid based upon not coming to the house, and sees that my dad has a very high pitched roof, and raised the price of it. And rightfully so, by the way. In fact, most of the roofers listening are like, oh my God, I hate those kind of guys, But anyway, so the guy raised it. My dad's a miser. He sent him away. This was like, I don't even know how many years ago, 12 years ago. He's with the same roof still. Called Home Depot, had them pick up the stuff, spent the money. Doesn't have any money, to do the roof with. So he's got this house built in the 80s with the original roof on it. It looks horrific. It was already a light brown, so you can see the cracking tiles all over the place. It must leak. Yeah, it must be horrible. I almost feel bad as his son that could probably afford to go help him replace the roof, not doing something with it. He's a grown man and get his roof replaced, but I might help him pay for this, like it's roof rejuve. But I ain't buying that roof. He's got like a 3,500 square foot home with a roof he should have put on. But that's just one guy's story. There's a ton of people out there, and he's more able to replace than some people. But some people are in bad shape, can afford a little bit of something, but can't do much. I think it's a good product for that. I also like the idea that it changes my mentality about repairs. I also like the fact that in 5 years, like that's one of the benefits of roof coatings. You got a silicone roof coating. You get to go back every 10 years and replace it. And eventually you will replace the whole roof. But you get in touch with those people. A lot of times on deals on a commercial roof, let's talk about that too real quick before we completely conclude. But on a commercial roof, there'll be a maintenance schedule baked into it. It's like, hey, we were going to replace this TPO roof for $100,000. We're doing this coating for 60, and we need to come back out. And I probably need to come check it for ponding, pooling, roof washing, stuff like that. Do y'all add that in, or do you come back before 5 years, or what about maintenance and second application? What's the plan for that?
Yeah. So, it's like anything. We have a great system, a good CRM where all the clients will ultimately, be placed in. And so it's just constant education too. So, we can send out, hey, your roof was sprayed 2 years ago on this date, and we're recommending that based upon that initial observation of your roof that you would indeed qualify for another treatment. And so, and then there are roofs that we'll tell a property owner very specifically, hey, listen, we think that after the first treatment, it's likely that your roof will need replaced.
It's time for replacement.
And you'll only be able to do this once. So if a property owner is much more advanced and thinking ahead of schedule, right? It's okay, if I can get this asphalt shingle roof sprayed at year 15, I'm going to get another 3 treatments out of this. But if somebody says, hey, listen, my roof's 28 years old, I really just I don't have the funds. Will this product work? We'll go up, we'll look and see what we can repair. And if it's treatable, we'll
I
spray it.
like
And then,
that mentality too, because somebody says, I've got, I've got 5 years, I can plan now. This hit me out of the blue. I should have known that my roof was going to fail because it was old, but I'm not ready. Go, okay, this will give you 5 years. You'll need to be ready by then, but you have time. And then people can weigh their options, get their credit in shape for financing, whatever they're going to do, save up the money, and then they're ready to replace the roof. So yeah, I love the options. It's a lot better than just walking away. I'll take 18% increase all day long personally, if I feel comfortable with everything. And yeah, I love it. And so if people, first off, before I kind of conclude some of the points, do you want to say, is there any other points you want to make about anything before we get off, before we finish up?
I think it's just that we are a tool in your tool belt. I mean, our goal is not to replace, your re-roofing services or your GC services. We are a tool, and we're not a franchise. So the reality is that, we sell a product and ultimately we want to be a partner with you in your business, and in any way that we can be helpful, we will. But that's really, I mean, you touched on everything, asked great questions. And I think as long as the roofer, the business owner that's listening understands that, our mission is to help them increase their closing percentage, add additional revenue, and not only add additional revenue, but add it in a fashion that it's timely and it's efficient, right? That's really what we're here for. And we're here for the consumer.
I got a question. I got one thing too. I'm very pro America these days. You guys, this is all made in USA. All of it.
100% of it is manufactured in Pennsylvania.
Are there other products like this that aren't, or all these, I don't know where coatings come from or shingle replenishment products come from. Are y'all unique in that manner at all, or do you not know?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm not sure. I think that what makes us, I think that what makes us unique is our recycled oil that we use. But ultimately, I'm not sure if our other colleagues in the space utilize manufacturing services in the US. I would imagine that they would, because of just, trying to get international shipments is challenging. But yeah, I think that we're probably all one and the same, where we're all, manufacturing in the US.
I want to say that, the repurposed oil, just so people know, this isn't like these guys are taking oil and throwing it up there. They changed the chemical makeup of it. There's a huge process to it, from what Tyler told me earlier. And there's materials and other materials added into it.
Yep.
But so if somebody wants to get in touch with you, they Google Roof Rejuv, REJUV, or roofrejuv.com. I assume there's a form there to fill out to contact you guys to check into becoming a dealer. They can get trained and call and all that sort of stuff. So, man, I appreciate it. I like the idea of this. I really do. I think it's fantastic to look at something, expand products. And I like the thought of this deal as a whole, especially if I'm going to pick up an extra percentage above and beyond. And that was just on the that little 36 to 54% that you emailed me. That was on a full bid. That's
Correct.
Not even talking about repairs, right?
No.
What percentage of repairs are converting? Like a roof repair call to this, that's not going to get a roof replacement, presumably. What percentage do you see convert on that? Do you have any guesstimate on it, or actual?
About
70%?
Yeah. For us internally. Right.
So people are already in trouble getting repairs. They know they've got problems that are
correct.
This is just me not knowing, and I'm sure roofers know. But when you get a repair call, how old is that roof typically?
Yeah, so it's amazing the amount of repair calls that geography, right? You got Washington State, damp, wet. It could be a whole different scenario than Pennsylvania. So when we look at it, it's a lot of times it could be just, sealing around the chimney. It could be 2 or 3 square that need replaced, but the rest can be sprayed. And so really when we go out, it's what we aren't able to, if we get a repair call, what we aren't able to spray, it's just not sprayable. That's really what it comes down to.
So those repair calls, the roofs are older already when you're having that stuff? What's the average age of a repair called roof?
Oh, I would say in the 20s.
Really? So
Yeah.
they all need, for the most part, 80+% of roofs, 90% that you go out is a candidate for being sprayed, just for the nature that it has a repair.
It is. They're all a candidate unless they're just so far gone that what you'd have to replace is not worth a replace than a spray, right? That's really what it comes down to.
All right. Listen, it all makes sense to me. This is a logical deal. I appreciate you spending time with me. Anybody wants to check them out, Roof, REJUV. I don't know if Tyler calls you himself or not, but it looks like cool stuff to me. I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully I'll get to meet up with you again someday, Tyler. But I enjoyed the conversation, and I think hopefully you get a few calls from from us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Man. Check out our video section. Anybody that wants to understand it better, the video section, we have a lot of content up there.
There's examples on there. There's that I forgot what you called it when the color deepens the hue of it, but it looked good. Yeah. So there was videos. There's that roof you sprayed half of, showing the gravel and all that in the gutters. It was pretty explanatory, but yeah, great stuff, man. I know you're going to do good, but thanks, and we'll see you.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it, Nolen.
All right, have a good one. See you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.